Whoopi is a multi-award-winning actress with the talent and likability to boot. Let's see just how well she's done for herself during her 42 years in the industry. Walking into the limelight. First and foremost, her birth name isn't Whoopi. It's Corinne Elaine Johnson. She got the name Whoopi when she made a joke that when she didn't use the bathroom before doing a show, she was basically a walking whoopee cushion. She used the surname Goldberg because she believed that she had Jewish heritage. However, when researchers tried to do DNA testing, they found no Jewish ancestry, but instead an impressive lineage back to West Africa. Corinne was born in Manhattan, New York in 1955. Her mother Emma was a nurse, and her father Robert was a Baptist clergyman. They put her in a Catholic school from a young age, and after moving quite a bit around America, she was in Washington High School. Her mother was a strong-willed character in her life who influenced a lot of the decisions that Corinne made. Her mother was highly supportive and never spoke down to her or doubted her abilities. In high school, she had dyslexia, but she wasn't as open about it as she could have been. Like most people who struggle with dyslexia and get no help, she was labeled as dumb, stupid, and lazy. School became a very negative environment for her, and she despised having to go there to be degraded. It was overwhelming to see other people pick things up faster than her. However, she found that she was able to spend more time making a stronger connection with people and the material to learn, because there was no other way for her to get the information. Although this was effective, she still struggled and fell way behind. She soon dropped out and began a lifelong struggle with drug addiction. Her mother continued to encourage and motivate her through this tumultuous time in her life. In 1983, she started a one-woman show called Spook Show. When it transferred to Broadway, it was titled Whoopi Goldberg. The recording of that show won Whoopi her first of many awards, a Golden Globe for Best Comedy Album. For every year after 1983, she has established herself as one of the greatest Hollywood actors the world has ever seen. From Deep South to The Color Purple to Sister Act, Whoopi expressed unimaginable talent and acting range on the screen. And there isn't a single main role she has played that hasn't been adorned with at least a nomination for an award. She may not have a high school diploma, but she does have an Oscar, 2 Emmys, a BAFTA, a Critics' Choice Award, 2 Golden Globes, a Grammy, and a Tony. And for the success of an actor's career, that's confirmation enough of their talent. Whoopi's career is best mapped by her award wins because there are just so many of them. What would really complete her wins is if she clicked the subscribe button and the notification bell. Oh well, guess you'll just have to do it for her. According to Parade.com, Whoopi's net worth is $60 million All-American dollars. In the years since her golden age of acting, Whoopi has mostly been a host on the television show The View. She has said before that she thinks of the show as a job and an acting gig rather than a real conversation or reflection of her opinions. The show has been running for 27 years now, and Whoopi is paid thousands for every episode she appears on. The show is so successful and culturally significant that in 2010, for the first time ever, a sitting president appeared on a daytime talk show. Barack Obama was a guest on their show nearly 14 years ago. So, although we know Whoopi would not disclose the exact amount she's being paid, we know it's a lot. Estimates of her annual income range between $6 to $8 million a year just for her work on The View. In 2015, Whoopi sold her Victorian-style home for $175 million. It was the first home she ever bought after her big break in 1983, when the Spook Show finally picked up. It's located in the San Francisco Bay Area city of Berkeley. It's not a fancy place, but it has a tiny home aesthetic paired with the nature and Victorian build that gives the home charm in a neighborhood surrounded by sprawling suburban households. She bought her second home in Pacific Palisades, LA, in 1993. It's a large and modern-build mansion that was initially built in the 1930s for Vicky Baum. She bought it for $2.5 million. Adjusted for inflation, that would cost $5.37 million today. The home provides a great sense of nature and solace without actually being isolated from the rest of the world or a community. This gave her a level of balance and privacy that protected her from the paparazzi, without forcing her to suddenly become separated from the people in her community. The home is 700 square feet with 6 bedrooms and lush greenery on the outside. It also has a swimming pool and an open yard. The inside has a vintage design with checkered floors and a marbled fireplace. She sold the home in 2018 for $8.8 million. Whoopi currently lives in Llewellyn Park, New Jersey, in a $2.8 million mansion. Llewellyn Park is America's oldest planned community, founded in 1853. All of the homes, including Whoopi's, are over 100 years old. As a result, the build of her home is in a vintage colonial style. The home is 9,486 square feet with 8 bedrooms, 7 bathrooms, and a luxury pool and gym. Since she now lives in a gated community, she enjoys more privacy and security than she did with her previous homes. Instead, she can bask in the view of a neighborhood resembling an idyllic rural America. They regularly host high tea and Victorian picnics for the residents. Whoopi has been married 3 separate times. Her first marriage was to Alvin Martin in 1973. At the time that they met, Whoopi was 18 and still working as a waitress in California. That very same year, they had a daughter together named Alexandrea Martin. Alex is Whoopi's only child. Alvin Martin worked as a drug counselor, and they met a few years after Whoopi dropped out of school and began her struggle with drug abuse. Whoopi described herself as a functioning drug addict and believes that her ability to be productive and take care of herself is not affected by her drug usage. However, it was still ironic that she married a drug counselor. The marriage lasted 6 years and they separated because they felt they had rushed into it. In interviews, she stated that she had only been in love with one person before, and that person was not Alvin. She gave love another chance in 1986 when she married David Clayson. He was working as a cinematographer, director, and photographer when they met. They were both working on the production of Who Are They when they first noticed each other. The marriage only lasted 2 years, and they were soon divorced in 1988. Her last marriage was to Lyle Trachtenberg, a marriage even shorter than the one that came before it. Lyle is a former IATSE union organizer and actor, and the two met through mutual friends in their acting circles. After an initial spark, Whoopi gave love a third try and they were married in 1994. However, their marriage barely lasted a year, and they soon divorced. After this, Whoopi decided to swear off the whole thing and never marry again. On The View, she claimed that there are some people who are meant to be married, and that's wonderful for them, but she just isn't one of those people. She wouldn't consider marriage and doesn't believe that she's fit for it. While on the show, she confessed that her most recent relationship was with a man 40 years her senior. That would make him nearly 100 years old. Whoopi Goldberg's daughter, Alexandrea Martin, made her own way in the entertainment industry, following in her mother's footsteps. Alex strived to forge her own identity and pursue her own passions. She initially explored a career in modeling and acting, but eventually found her true calling behind the scenes, working as a producer and talent manager. It can be really difficult to shine your own light in the shade of a star as bright as Whoopi, but she gave her daughter every opportunity to succeed in her own way. Whoopi never explicitly advantaged her daughter when she entered the industry like other famous Hollywood stars do. She never wanted to use her own identity to give her daughter an extra leg up that no one else got. She learned valuable lessons about resilience, hard work, and perseverance from her mother, who instilled in her the importance of staying true to oneself and following one's passions. Alex has worked on films like Sister Act with her mother and Call Me Claus in 2001. In 1994, she won the title of Miss Golden Globe. Her credits in the film are sent to none when it comes to producing, which is pretty unusual. She hasn't had a hand in any mainstream film productions despite her strong Hollywood connections. She mainly works on smaller projects that don't get a lot of widespread recognition. Alex got married in 2011 to Bernard Dean. She gave Whoopi 3 grandchildren, Amara, Jersey, and Mason Dean. Whoopi has always had somewhat of a 90s hippie revolutionary sort of personality. She has very liberal alignments when it comes to a lot of political issues. She is an advocate for women's rights, equality, environmentalism, and other humanitarian causes. Because Whoopi is a black woman who grew up with a learning disability, she always felt that at times life gave her the short end of the stick for things about herself that she couldn't control. Instead of advocating for just personal responsibility, Whoopi is an advocate for systemic change because she's been in a position where the systems in place not only didn't serve her, but actively disadvantaged her. Whoopi has had to undergo a lot of procedures for her reproductive health. She once claimed that birth control either didn't work on her or that she had horrible side effects from the medication she was taking. She has always been an advocate for equal access to safe, productive health care and education for all people. She especially acknowledges how laws limiting access to proper health care affect women who were once in her position. Women who are lower class and often women of color are affected the most. As an openly bisexual woman, she has also been a vocal supporter of LGBTQ+ individuals and their rights. Goldberg has used her visibility to challenge stereotypes and stigma surrounding LGBTQ+ communities, advocating for greater acceptance and equality. She has supported organizations such as Comic Relief, which raises funds to combat poverty and homelessness, and the Elizabeth Glaser Pediatric AIDS Foundation, which works to eliminate pediatric HIV/AIDS. Goldberg's commitment to social justice extends to racial equality and civil rights. She has been an outspoken critic of racism and systemic oppression, using her platform to address issues such as police brutality and racial profiling, and she was especially vocal about her views during the BLM protests. She sent a message to the Pope asking him to speak openly about the mistreatment of black and mixed parishes under the church, when a close friend of hers made her aware that the Catholic institution was treating their issues with indifference. Goldberg has participated in protests and marches, lending her voice to movements calling for racial justice and equity. Click on this next video to find out more about other Black Hollywood stars who changed the world for the better. Do you think Whoopi should give love a fourth chance?